It's hard to believe that it's been a little over 20 years since Lexus first introduced the GX nameplate to the States, all the way back in 2003. Now, of course, they followed it up with a second generation version back in 2009. However, we haven't seen a new GX in America for about 15 years until today, because as you can see, this week, we're actually out here in Tucson, Arizona to finally get behind the wheel of the all new third generation GX. You can see we are standing by a new trim level for 2024. This is known as the GX 550 Overtrail Plus, a new off-road oriented model that has unique styling front and rear. It has an upgraded suspension, upgraded tires, an upgraded four-wheel drive system, and as you can see, it's just the beefiest member of the new GX family. So today, as you can see, we're gonna actually take the GX out on our first drive. We're gonna put it through some testing, maybe even some off-road testing later on. And the big question I want to answer, for those of you who are interested in a new truck-based premium luxury SUV that can basically go toe-to-toe with your favorite Land Rovers out there, how does the brand new 2024 GX 550 Overtrail Plus stack up? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the all-new styling for this third generation GX, I thought I'd pop the hood and show you guys what's powering this thing. Now, at launch, Lexus is making things pretty simple here. As you guys probably expected, the old 4.6-liter V8 is gone. It's been replaced by the new 3.4-liter twin-turbocharged gasoline direct injection V6 that makes a lot more power and a lot more torque underneath that hood. Now, if you guys are familiar with the newest crop of Toyota and Lexus products, you should be pretty familiar with this engine. It has been replacing the old 5.7 and 4.6-liter V8s across the board. It's a 3.4-liter double overhead cam, twin turbocharged direct and port injection V6. So again, this V6, you'll find this variation or this motor in a variation of other Lexus products, including the LX600. In this application, however, it makes 349 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque. Now, compared to the old GX with the V8, this has about 48 more horsepower and about 150 more pound-feet of torque. So that's a pretty significant increase in the torque figure. It all goes out through a 10-speed automatic transmission. Again, that replaces the old 6-speed automatic in the old GX 460. So this is a big upgrade. However, you should notate, however, the 550 badge on this car means that it has about 60 less horsepower versus the LX600, although they both have the same 479 pound-feet torque figure. Now, Lexus did confirm that a hybrid version of the GX is coming. We're going to have to wait, of course, a little bit longer for Lexus to reveal final details of that. This vehicle does come standard with full-time four-wheel drive. The Overtrail model includes a locking center diff and a locking rear diff. That's what makes the Overtrail's four-wheel drive system upgraded over the other GX trims. Fuel economy is rated at 15 in the city, 21 on the highway, 17 combined. This has roughly a 21-gallon fuel tank, so you should expect around 350 miles of range on a full tank. That's on premium gas. Lexus claims 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds. We'll test it out when we get it out on the road. Top speed, this vehicle, Lexus says, will do around 109 miles an hour, and this trim here will tow a maximum of 8,000 pounds. So that's an upgrade of about 1,500 versus the previous generation. And unfortunately, because of all this new technology and all this new luxury, the new GX is significantly heavier than the old model. As this car sits, it weighs in at just over 5,600 pounds. That's about a 500-pound increase versus the prior generation. But let's go ahead and close up this hood and talk about the exterior styling. Now, first of all, I think Lexus has done a phenomenal job with the look of this vehicle. I mean, compared to the old GX, which got several facelifts over the years because it was just so old, this model here just looks new, it looks modern, but it also is instantly recognizable as a truck-based body-on-frame SUV that looks tough, that looks aggressive, that looks masculine. I love this exterior color combination. This is the Nori Green Pearl exterior, which is kind of like the same color as Nori Seaweed, which has metallic fleck in it. All GX models will come standard with the premium triple beam LED headlights, which includes an LED daytime running light, LED turn signal. There are some fake vents over here that kind of looks like an extension of the headlight, but it's not quite the same. You also have cornering lights here and LED fog lights. The GX Overtrail models have a unique front fascia, where, as you can see, in contrast to what Lexus typically does, the spindle grille is actually smaller this year. And Lexus says they've kind of raised up the cooling for the engine a little bit higher. So down here, you have more of like an off-road skid plate with actual skid plates underneath. A lot of the cooling has been raised up to give this car more capability. So if you're going off-roading, for example, you won't be hitting those little bushes and shrubs when you're going off your beaten path. The bumper corners, Lexus says, have also been tucked out, so they are going to interfere less. This vehicle has roughly around 8.9 inches of ground clearance. It has around 0.3 inches more ground clearance versus the premium and the luxury trim levels. But overall, let me know what you guys think of the styling. I think that Lexus really nailed it. This is one of my favorite looking luxury SUVs that you're gonna find, just because it's just a square. It's a square and it has amazingly handsome proportions. Now, moving around the side profile, this is built on the new GAF architecture. So it's a body-on-frame SUV with an independent front suspension, multi-link in the rear, but it is a solid axle design. You can also get it with an adaptive variable suspension. This trim and the Luxury Plus offers it, of course, and the overall length of this car has increased. So at 197.1 inches long, this is about 5 inches longer than the old GX. Its wheelbase is 2.5 inches longer at 112.2. That's the same length as the new Lexus LX600. This car is also about 1 to 2 inches taller and about 2.5 inches wider than the prior generation. So Lexus really did stretch this vehicle out to give it, again, a more imposing stance. You can see the Overtrail comes standard with these 18-inch wheels, kind of like in a graphite gray finish with a 6-spoke design. You have a 13.9-inch rotor, so almost 14-inch rotor with it looks like a twin piston caliper design. And you can see you have these Toyo open country all-terrain tires. These are a 33-inch tall tire, which means you're on a 265/70 R18. I think I would have liked to see kind of the white raised lettering. I imagine some owners may swap it out for an even more aggressive tire, but you can get this from the factory and it just makes this SUV look really tough and aggressive. You also have these unpainted wheel arch trims. You also have black painted mirrors. These are power folding with integrated turn signals with cameras all around. I love the almost kind of like Defender-like upright windshield here. This car, again, main competitor is the Land Rover Defender. And then above on the roof here, you can see all Overtrail models will come with the standard sunroof. If you want a pano roof, you have to go to the Luxury Plus trim. I also love the actually usable roof rails. I love the way the body lines look with the kind of squared off design, but it also has that signature Lexus design details here with the two-tone roof. This two-tone color with the nori green with the black roof just looks especially handsome, but keep in mind this is a pretty dark color. Now, moving around to the rear, you can see the traditional Lexus styling elements here are carried through. You have that full LED light blade, which looks great with the Lexus spelled out the back. You have LED taillights, LED turn signals, LED reverse lights. You have this built-in rear spoiler back here with a rear window wiper. And then just like a lot of other SUVs in this class, you do have this little pop-out rear window, which is nice if you want to access the cargo area without opening up the liftgate. And speaking of the liftgate, it's now a power liftgate that opens up in the traditional sense. So before, the old GX had that side swing barn door, which opened up the wrong direction. So you can see that's kind of been done away. And the GX's cargo capacity, if you guys go for the Overtrail, is pretty impressive. So this model only comes with 2 rows of seating. I'll show you guys a separate video on a luxury trim that'll offer 3 rows of seating. The premium and luxury come standard with a 3rd row seat. With the 2nd row seat, or with the 2-row model, you do get more cargo space. So up to 45.6 cubic feet of space with the 2nd row seats up. If you fold down the 2nd row seats, they do expand the cargo out to, Lexus claims, 90.6 cubic feet. That's a pretty high amount. I'd have to question whether that number is measured in the same way as some competing vehicles. You can see the floor is pretty high because this vehicle has that really high liftover height. If you look underneath here, you can see there is a little bit of underfloor storage. And then if you look underneath here, the exhaust is kind of tucked in back here. And you also have a full-size, it looks like full-size matching spare, which is nice because if you guys plan to go off-roading, you're going to be wanting that extra little bit of security in case you guys get a flat tire. So now let's go ahead and hop into the interior of this 2024 Lexus GX 550 Overtrail Plus. Before we get inside, however, let me show you guys the key fob. You can see this is the current Lexus Intelligent Access key. All the models come standard with this. It includes features like your lock, unlock, power liftgate, and panic function. There's also remote start from the fob. If you push the lock button 3 times in sequence, then hold it, that'll lock the door for you. I believe my tester also has the digital key function where if you've access to the Lexus interface system through your smartphone, you should also be able to use your phone as a key and remote start the vehicle from your phone as well. Now you can see on the outside, we have these black door handles, which are traditional. So I like the fact that Lexus didn't go with their digital latch door handle. If you touch that right there, you can see the mirrors will fold in. And that will lock the door for you. If you want to touch the back of the door handle, that will unlock the door for you, which again, I really appreciate how Lexus decided to go with the traditional design there as opposed to the digital latch. Now, as you can see, my test car has probably the color combination that I would pick for myself. The nori green pearl exterior with this black, or this New Lux, which is the olive and the chateau 2-tone combination. So the olive, you can see, has like this green ultra suede on there, and then the chateau is this kind of light tan interior. interior. This is the new Lux, which means this is the fake leather material. The seats themselves are heated and ventilated, and they also offer a massage function when you guys go for the Overtrail Plus or the luxury trims and up. If you guys want that. The seats adjust in 14 different ways. You can see the seat controls are where you'd expect them to be. The leather itself, or the fake leather itself, feels really plush and comfortable. Lexus always does really amazing seats. And then if you look over here on the door panel, you can see, I would like to see Lexus put nicer materials on the door panel, especially considering the high trim of this car. You can see it has a soft touch injection molded plastic, but I would have liked to see leather stitching. You have aluminum accents for the door handle here, padded over here with leather stitching or new Lux stitching here on this portion of the door panel. My test car also has the $1,100 21 speaker Mark Levinson stereo, which if you guys are an audiophile, highly recommend going with that option. You can see the olive green actually extends onto the door panel here, where you can see in the actual perforations there's a little bit of green. This car also has the upgraded thematic ambient lighting, but I'm gonna have to wait until I get one for a full week to show you guys what that looks like. You can see there's kind of like the black ash wood that you'll find on the door panels and on the center console. Down here you can see it's hard touch plastic, but you can see there's a little bit of storage. And then overall, you can see this interior makes a really good first impression. I love the two-tone look with this green. Now getting inside, you can see there's a running board here included on this Overtrail. The luxury trim will have a power deploying running board. There's a nice grab handle here to help short people like myself get in. But once you kind of hoist yourself in, you can see this car gives you a nice commanding view of the road. That's what you expect in a vehicle like this. As I shut the door, the door also has a really solid sounding thunk. So again, it's built on the GAF truck-based architecture. Now, starting the vehicle up, Lexus puts the start-stop button nice and high here so you don't lose sight of it. And then this model is not a hybrid, so when you start the vehicle up, it has a traditional starter noise. It doesn't whir to life. There is a hybrid model coming, but we don't know if that'll have the hybrid powertrain from the Toyota Tacoma iForce Max or from the Tundra with its V6. So we'll have to wait and see with that. But you can see the steering wheel. This is the same new Lexus steering wheel we've seen in some other products. You can see it offers a power tilt telescoping adjustment, paddles on the wheel. This also has the Lexus Safety System 3.0, so that's a camera that watches and scans your face. There's also a heads-up display included on this model here. That's part of a optional charge that my tester has, of course. If you guys want the heads-up display, for some reason it's turned off right now, but you can see there it turned itself back on. And there's also like a standard and a full mode. You can see the controls here. I actually really appreciate how these aren't like the fussy touch-sensitive controls you see on like the RX or the NX, for example, where it shows you like in the heads-up display what you're touching. This is the more traditional sense. The horn, it sounds pretty nondescript, but it doesn't sound, it sounds appropriate given the size of this vehicle. You can see the materials on the dash here are soft touch injection molded plastic, which is nice, but I would have preferred more leather stitching on the dash. You can see it even has like a soft padded area over this area. I also like how it's like a low gloss. It's not gonna have a lot of reflections. All GX models will come standard with the 14-inch Lexus interface touchscreen infotainment system, which as you can see, my phone is connected via CarPlay, it's wireless. You also have wireless Android Auto. You can also expand the CarPlay to get rid of that actual small side screen there where you can get back to the Lexus native system. And then all GX models will also come standard with a digital 12.3-inch display. So this was first seen on the new Lexus TX. This display is slightly customizable where you can kind of use these little buttons here and you can kind of customize the display a little bit, but it also looks a little bit traditional. You can't really put like a full GPS in this screen like you can in some Audi products, for example. I like how there's actual knobs for the tri-zone temperature control. You have a volume knob here, which is nice. And then this screen, as you can see, is pretty quick and snappy. It's responsive. You have some traditional hard buttons for your front defog and your rear defog, of course. And then if I put the vehicle into reverse, you can see this has a full top-down 360 camera with camera washers. This trim in particular also has several different views where you can go to like a trail view. When you're off-roading, of course, you can go into the multi-terrain monitor, which you can actually change the body color of the vehicle. So that's pretty cool how Lexus kind of gives you that customization and whatnot. So I think that's important. You can see there, it actually changed to green. The camera quality resolution is good. And I think it's going to be useful, for those of you who plan to do some off-roading or you want to do some towing with this vehicle. Going back to the Lexus navigation system, you can see this is their cloud-based navigation system. It's relatively fast, but you can see here, I don't love the map graphics and resolution. I just think that some of the other luxury brands probably do a better job there. Most of you, again, will probably just skip that. You'll go to the CarPlay and you'll just pull up Google Maps, which Google Maps gives you the satellite view. So that looks really nice. You can also expand it out to give you the full screen. So again, that's probably what most people are going to use as opposed to the Lexus native system. Now down here, you can see a lot more beautiful dark black ash wood trim. Your drive mode selector is here, so you can adjust the drive mode here between, it looks like 7 different drive modes. So you've got a custom, a Sport Plus, Plus, a Sport, a Normal, a Comfort, and Eco setting. So I love the graphic as well. When you start switching over the drive modes, you also have your MTS, which is multi-terrain select, so you can adjust what different types of terrain that you're on as well. Of course, and it also gives you a pretty cool graphic. Love the way that looks with the animation. There's also your DAC, downhill assist control, and crawl control, so you can kind of adjust that if you guys plan to do some serious off-roading. Your locking rear diff is over here along with your center diff. You can also switch the four-wheel drive from high to low. It's always in a continuous full-time four-wheel drive, which is nice. That's something I criticized the Tacoma for and the Tundra, for example, so it's nice to see Lexus doing that. You have an electronic parking brake here. I love the leather stitching along this right here. This is actually a really nice padded area where people's knees might hit, which is good. I also love the USB ports over here where you have two USB-Cs. Flip that down, you actually have a traditional 12-volt power outlet, which has a really interesting design. Your cup holders are here, and you can see it's a pretty interesting square look. You can see your wireless forward charging pad is here. And then my test car for 170 bucks also has the cool box, which basically turns this into a refrigerator. It does shrink the size of the console, but that's nice for on those longer road trips if you want to put like some cold drinks in here, which is good. There's a little bit of a storage shelf here, which is nice for putting some, loose items. The glove compartment you can see is damped but not lined with felt. It's not a bin style. It goes into the dash. It's actually a pretty big size. The seats, like I said earlier, are comfortable and supportive. This seat also adjusts in 14 different ways. And if you guys want to go into the massage function, you can see you do that by going to the seat controls here, hitting massage, and then you can kind of turn on what type of massage you want via the intensity. There's 4 different levels, and then there's looks like 5 different types of massages as well. So that's part of the upper trims if you guys go for the Overtrail Plus or the luxury trim, which is nice. There is an auto dimming rearview mirror, but if you want a digital camera mirror, you have to go for the Luxury Plus trim or get it as a dealer accessory. There's kind of a cloth material here, and then you have a standard sunroof that also vents to open, and it also tilts. If you want a panoramic glass roof, it's available or standard on the Luxury Plus trim, but that doesn't open up to vent air. It just kind of frosts and defrosts, and it lets in more light with a shade. So if you want an actual opening sunroof, you could get that here. You can also delete this sunroof for around 1,100 bucks. But overall, you can see the interior definitely is familiar for those of you who have spent time in some new Lexus products. It's filled with really high quality materials as well. So that's really important. You have good visibility. You have really plush seats. So I think most of you are going to find plenty to like with this interior. And it's basically almost as nice as the Luxury Plus trim, minus the fact that you don't have real leather. These are the fake New Lux leather. Moving into the back seat, you can see the Overtrail trim only comes as a 2-row configuration. If you guys want 3 rows of seats, you have to downgrade to the premium or upgrade to the luxury trim. You can see it comes with a bench. The other trims offer captain's chairs, and Lexus says they improved the legroom back here by about 2.5 inches. So you have around 36.7 inches of legroom. That's actually about the same as what you're going to find in the bigger Lexus LX, for example. You can see material quality back here is pretty much the same as the front. You have these slightly soft touch materials, padded leather here, stitching, of course, the Mark Levinson stereo, the black ash wood. I also love the manual retractable shades. And then the window controls, they're one touch for all 4. They have that high quality tactile feel that you expect from Lexus. These seats also fold down, obviously, but they kind of flip up to expand the cargo space of this area, which means these seats do kind of get in the way. That actually probably would limit the cargo space compared to seats that just completely fold flat. You can see you can also recline the seats slightly if you guys want to get a little more comfortable. Getting back here, you can see the grab handle is nice along with the running board. As I hoist myself up, you can see the body on frame chassis definitely obviously raises up the body, but you can see back here it's actually pretty comfortable. This is where I'd have it to drive, but this is definitely not as spacious like the Lexus TX. You can see there's a hump over here. You have rear seat air vents. You have heated rear seats, which is nice. You have 2 USB-C charging ports, which is great. You have 2 storage cubbies as well. And then you can see here there's an armrest that folds down and gives you 2 cup holders. The headroom space is taken up here by the sunroof, but over here there's kind of like a carve out. So for somebody my height, I can get back here and you can see my head's not even close. But overall, you can see the back seat area can certainly fit a child seat and average to higher or taller adults. But again, if you want more space in the back seat, make sure you check out the Lexus TX, which is a car-based family SUV. So it's been a long time coming. We've been waiting a while now to finally get our hands on the new Lexus GX. And of course, this is the Overtrail Plus model. We're gonna, of course, get this one out on the road. I'm hoping later on we can kind of do an off-road test, but let's go ahead and see what we can get 0 to 60 wise. Lexus claims 6.5 seconds, so I have it in Sport Plus mode right now. It's in 4-wheel drive. We'll brake torque it. Nice sounds, quick shifts from the 10-speed. All right, we just got 0 to 60 in 6.49 seconds, so that is bang on with Lexus's claim. However, I do want to point out that my phone or my watch is telling me I'm at 3,000 feet above sea level, so we are at slight elevation here, not quite a mile above sea level, about a half a mile above sea level. So I'll have to wait until I get one back home to test it out to see if I can get a slightly faster time. I feel like the last time I drove this engine in the LX600, I got like a mid 5-second sprint to 60, or maybe it was like 5.7, 5.8. So I would expect this car to do something similar to that, although it does have, again, about 60 less horsepower versus the engine in the LX600, but they both have the same torque figure. Now, talking about this vehicle out on the road, I have the car in Sport Plus mode right now. So it has the adaptive dampers with this vehicle with the Overtrail Plus trim. It also has the kinetic dynamic suspension, which we'll hopefully test out when we get this vehicle off-road. But I do notice that in this mode, the ride is bumpy. It's definitely a bumpier ride. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch the drive mode to the comfort setting here. Let's see if it makes a difference. This should obviously adjust the dampers and make the ride a lot softer, a lot more comfortable. And I'm definitely noticing that change right away. For those of you who, again, want a vehicle that's going to be able to, you know, take the beating of your daily drive out on roads where they're covered with potholes and whatnot, this is definitely going to do that for you. In this mode, the dampers softened up, the steering got a little bit lighter, and it feels like it rides like a truck-based SUV. Of course, it still has a live axle in the back, so if you're looking for the softest ride quality, you're not going to be looking at a GX in general. But for a truck-based SUV, I think the ride is definitely very, very, acceptable. You kind of have to manage your expectations. But again, if you're looking at other truck-based SUVs, this is going to actually have a pretty decent ride quality. The other thing I'm noticing is how quiet this car is. Lexus is known for obviously doing really, really quiet interiors, and the new GX is certainly no exception. The noise levels in here are low. There's very little road noise, very little wind noise, very little tire noise as well. These are, big 33-inch tall, well, not really big, but they're decent size all-terrain tires, and they actually do a pretty decent job of just kind of not being super loud. Maybe Lexus also puts some good sound deadening materials in here. When I put my foot down in comfort mode, the engine isn't quite as loud. So there's definitely a sound enhancer that's kind of amplifying the noise through, I'm guessing, the audio system of this car, because I put my foot down here. You don't really hear the engine as much in comfort mode. It's just got smooth, progressive, linear power. It's got an effortless feel because of that big amount of torque. So 479 pound-feet is definitely a lot. We'll switch the drive mode here to its normal setting here. This is probably what most people are gonna drive it in. And it kind of gives you like a good balance between ride quality and handling. But again, the steering in this car is definitely not super, fast or direct. In fact, ignore that. In fact, the whole body, as you can see, transitions and shifts a lot because of the, body on frame design and the softly sprung suspension. But if I switch the drive mode here into its, Sport Plus setting, we'll just go into Sport mode here. This is where the dampers get a little firmer. Put my foot down. Definitely hear that V6. So it's amping up the noise when you go into this drive mode here. And then it gives you its most aggressive setting when you're in the Sport Plus setting here. Let's go ahead and make a U-turn here and test out the turning radius. Now this model also has what Lexus calls turn assist, which means on off-road conditions, you can kind of like drag the rear wheel to help the vehicle make a better U-turn to shorten the turning radius. You don't really need it, as you can see out on the road, but put my foot down here. I love the sound that it makes. It actually almost sounds V8-like, and again, I don't mind a fake noise as long as it sounds good. So I think Lexus did a really good job here with the overall sound, the feel. This gives you the feeling of like a tough and like ready truck-based SUV with that commanding seating position. I can see out of the front, the side, out of the rear pretty well. Again, if you want that digital camera rearview mirror, you have to go for the Plus trim. But I am sitting here in this Overtrail Plus trim, and I'm getting a massage. The massage function works pretty nicely. There are 6 different modes with 5 different intensities. This is actually a really nice massage feature. I wasn't expecting to find it in the GX, which is funny because you can't even really find the massage feature in something like the Lexus LS or the Lexus LX. In the LX, you can only find the massage feature in the back seat if you guys go for the ultra luxury package. But in this model here, again, you can get it in the Overtrail Plus and both of the luxury trims. So that's definitely a nice touch. I'll have to wait until I can retest the fuel efficiency when I'm not on this very short media drive where I actually have one for a full week to test. But overall, out on the road, this pretty much behaves like I expected it to, because it's a truck-based SUV with a live axle. It's a little bit bumpier than, you know, for those of you who are coming from something like a BMW X5 or a Mercedes-Benz GLE. But again, it gives you the off-road capability and just that, you know, tough truck feel that those of you are probably looking for, especially if you're shopping for a vehicle in this space. And let me tell you, there aren't very many vehicles left in this space that feel this, you know, off-road capable and just, you know, ready to kind of tackle any kind of terrain you're going to throw at it. So it's something that, again, gives the GX that special feel that I think a lot of customers pretty much demand when you're looking for this type of vehicle. All right, so welcome to the off-road driving scene of the GX 550 Overtrail Plus. And as you can see, I've picked up a couple of passengers, my good friend Mason and Drew from Car Confection. So if you guys haven't seen their channel, be sure to check out their stuff as well. You might occasionally hear somebody talking in the background too, because we are in kind of like a caravan here, where we're going into this like off-road trail where it's basically turned into a mud pit because we're here in Tucson and it's raining here. And I can't remember the last time I was in Arizona where it rained, Mason. Can you think of a time where it rained there?
Not very many, as you can see.
No, but the beauty about it raining is the trail that they've basically created for us has now turned into a river and a mud pit. So this is a great opportunity, of course, to test out the four-wheel drive system of the GX 550. As you guys know, the Overtrail model has a little bit more ground clearance courtesy of those all-terrain Toyo tires. It's got skid plates underneath. It's got the latest version of Lexus's multi-terrain select. It's got a full-time four-wheel drive system. We have it in low right now with the center diff lock locked, which I personally don't think it's necessary right now, but that's what the Lexus people told us to do. What I noticed immediately with this car is if you guys have driven the older Lexus and Toyota systems, the four-wheel drive system and like the center diff lock and all the electronic stuff, they change over much faster and smoother now. Before, you'd have to like put it into neutral to drive and like kind of move the car forward and back to get it to hook up. But now it doesn't do that. It's very quick to respond. And as you can see, we're pretty much driving through a river here.
That's cool.
Yeah, I love being able to see the lead car in front of us literally plowing his way through this river, which, I don't know, Mason, how deep do you think this water is we're going through?
It's got to be probably 6 inches.
Yeah, maybe a foot.
Yeah,
deep
maybe a foot
on some of the
spots, yeah,
on some of the lower spots. So it's kind of cool to see, you know, something like this going through. I mean, honestly, this car makes it so easy. Like, you really don't even notice you're going through this trickier terrain. Up ahead, we're going to try to see if we can get some wheels in the air where they kind of set up, you know, these little dips in the road, which again have turned into mud pits. But the one thing I'm noticing right away is the, you know, body on frame construction, the live axle in the back, the adaptive suspension, the E-kinetic dynamic suspension system, all of that kind of works together to make this thing just feel effortless as it goes through this type of terrain. I mean, most owners, let's be honest here, are probably not going to push their GX through something like this. Most of them are probably just going to be driving this thing to, you know, the grocery store, to the mall, to work. But it's nice to know that you have this kind of capability. So, I mean, yeah, I have very little complaints. The ride quality, it soaks up the bumps really nicely. These Toyo tires, they have plenty of grip, but visibility is also good. That's the one thing I really like about this car is it's small. It's like not as big as the old Land Cruiser, the Series 200 Land Cruiser. It's not quite as wide, but it feels maneuverable. It feels manageable. I also like how Lexus says that they designed the hood with these two kind of bulges on each side. That's supposed to represent the actual position of the tires, is what they told us. So basically you can kind of guess where the front wheels are going based on where that is right there in the hood. And it just kind of makes it easy for this car to be, you know, placed where you need it to place. There's also a view button here where if you're going slow enough, which sadly I'm not going slow enough, it will show you multiple camera angles based on, you know, what mode you have it in or what angle you have it in. It'll kind of show you underneath the car, behind the car. It kind of gives you like a see-through view. But overall, this thing kind of handles it like we're driving on regular pavement right now. So after spending the day driving the all-new third-generation Lexus GX, I have to say, guys, when I first saw this vehicle about 6 months ago, I fell in love with the exterior design, and after driving the car for just the day, this is, remember, just a brief first drive, the GX pretty much met all of my expectations and even exceeded a few, because for those of you who want a luxury-branded premium off-road style SUV, this car really, the only competitor that I see in my eyes that truly works is the Land Rover Defender. As you guys know, the Defender is also one of my favorite vehicles. vehicles. And what the GX is basically like the Japanese Land Rover Defender, because this car here has the off-road capability that you guys saw, that you demand and expect. Although I kind of do wish that Lexus would have increased the ground clearance a little bit more, especially for this model. I expected it to have around 10 inches of ground clearance versus just under 9 inches of ground clearance. The driving dynamics on the road also were very Lexus-like. Even though this is a body-on-frame vehicle, this vehicle isn't quite as cumbersome to drive as it used to be, especially if you guys are coming from the old GX. Lexus really upped the refinement in this car. They upped the handling dynamics, especially this model here with the adaptive dampers, and the kinetic dynamic suspension also is going to help it out off-road and help it out on-road. The seats are also extremely comfortable. The interior is also well put together with really luxurious materials, although again, there are a couple of areas where I wish that Lexus would put a little bit more leather and a little bit more wood, especially on the touch points, to kind of make the interior feel even nicer and special. The rear seat of this car also is usable, but again, for those of you who need even more space, Lexus will happily sell you a TX. This one here is designed to appeal to an enthusiast, to an off-roader, to somebody who wants something a little more tough versus the typical mall crawler, like unibody crossover SUVs, because remember, this is a truck-based body-on-frame SUV, and you're going to be paying for that, of course, in certain compromises. But I think Lexus has done a good job here at kind of, you know, making this car feel a lot more modern versus the previous generation. In terms of the fuel efficiency, I'll have to wait until I get one for a full week to test out that. But again, Lexus should be able to address the not wonderful MPG figures of 17 combined with the upcoming hybrid version. And of course, for those of you who are interested in purchasing one of these vehicles, Lexus says that these are built in Japan and production will start next month. So February 2024, you should expect them to show up in dealer showrooms probably a month after that. So it'll be in the early springtime if you guys are waiting for this truck to show up at your local Lexus dealership. And of course, typical, this is a far more expensive vehicle than the prior generation. The old GX started at around $60,000. The base model now starts at around $64,250 for the premium version. That comes, of course, with all-wheel drive, that twin-turbo V6, a lot of the tech and luxury features that you expect. The Overtrail model, however, is a new trim level this year, and it kind of slots in between the premium and the luxury trims. And then, of course, there's the Overtrail and the Overtrail Plus. The Overtrail is going to start at the same price as a Premium Plus trim, so you're looking at around $69,250. This Overtrail Plus trim that I'm showing you has features like the massaging seats, which are extra. You're going to have the optional power rear door with the kick sensor, the automatic parallel parking feature with the pedestrian detection. This model here starts at around $77,250, which I know that sounds like a pretty good chunk of money. Previously, the old GX topped out at around $72,000. So again, a lot more luxury, technology, and power. You're going to be paying for that. My tester here, with the options that it has, such as the Mark Levinson stereo, the two-tone color, the upgraded infotainment system, or not really infotainment system, the upgraded seating materials and whatnot that you're going to get in this model here. With destination, my tester here came in at about $80,980, so just under $81,000. I know that sounds like a lot of money, but keep in mind, most people who are looking at something like a Land Rover Defender are going to be spending around $70,000 to $80,000 to even $90,000 to over $100,000. So I think at the top end for this truck, I think Lexus has priced it well, but again, with all that extra features, you're going to be paying a little bit more out the door, especially if you guys want to go for all the bells and whistles. Well, all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2024 Lexus GX 550 and this Overtrail Plus trim. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.